G'day all, and welcome to another commentary video where I ramble about the game and yeah, just make it up as I go along. So what you just saw then was one of my favourite mechanics for World War III, which is where you can shoot the optics out of tanks. I love it. Makes it great for you know, disabling a tank's ability to see you and hopefully survive, which is really cool because, you know, you can't. It's not just this APC that you can do that with. You can do it even just as infantry with your main primary weapon. Shoot those optics out, and tank can't see you, and you have a little bit of a chance to either escape or, you know, take it out. So yeah, so this video is going to be a little more focused on just vehicles more than the last one. It's just pretty general. This will be all about vehicles. So this gameplay video I've got, I don't know what to do with, so I thought rather than just uploading it raw, I'll talk a little bit about it. So yeah, so this similar to, you know, the last thing I'll talk about. This is you know, one of the APCs in the game called a boomerang, and someone else is driving here, and I'm just on gunner seat. As you can see, I've just run out of ammo. Hopefully our drive will go and resupply us in a moment. Which looks like it's about to do. Yeah, cool. So one of the cool things is you can drive, you know, return to base, and you know, not only repair your vehicle but stock up all your ammo as well, which is something that's nice. You know, that little sense of realism and teamwork required, because unlike most games where you have an unlimited supply of ammo in your gunner seat, this you do have a limited supply. And some guns, or some your gunner positions, will have multiple types of ammunition. So you might have armor-piercing ammunition, full metal jacket, or HP ammo. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So one thing I will mention, though, it doesn't have anything to do with this specifically, what's going on now, but I forgot to mention in that last video that I was the only other thing I was a little disappointed in is how the Leviathan has been changed in how it drops. So in the previous version of the game, you may even have seen some of those videos that I did with the Leviathan, which was my all-time favourite thing in the game, where, you know, I could deploy it anywhere on the map I wanted, and it would drop. Well, it would be sort of lowered down by a little helicopter drone or something like that, and you could shoot from the moment it was sort of appeared on the map while it was still lowering. You could shoot with it, so you could, you know, you could surprise places. We knew where they were, so you knew there was a squad somewhere. Drop a Leviathan in the vicinity nearby, and you know, and take them out on your way down, and cause havoc. And I loved that about it. I thought it was a great mechanic. Really enjoyed it. Whereas in this, now they've changed it, where when you deploy it, you deploy it similar to how you would the I can't remember what it's called right now for some reason. Oh, the wheels in Modern Warfare. How, you know, it has to be deployed in front of your player. I don't like that anywhere near as much. I can kind of understand maybe for balancing reasons. I mean, the Leviathan has been pretty overpowered in the previous version, so maybe they were trying to find ways to make it less OP and a little bit more in line with everything else. So I can understand it, but, you know, a little disappointing. No big deal though. I mean, that's certainly by no means a deal breaker for me. That's just one of those little things that, you know, I really enjoyed about the Leviathan previously. Anyway, and also actually one more thing about the Leviathan, it's also less OP in many other ways too. I noticed the movement is a little less sensitive and a little less fast, that sort of thing. I also wasn't able to. It took me forever to unlock it because, like I mentioned in the previous video, I couldn't play this anywhere near as much as I would have liked. So I spent more time just trying to try everything rather than spending time leveling up things, and I basically just ran out of time. So I only leveled up the Leviathan up to level 3 or 4 or something like that, and unfortunately, you know, didn't quite get to use it quite as much as I liked, or test out all the different things that it can do now. But that's okay. Anyway, so back to the tanks. So as you can see, these tanks are, you know, they're pretty deadly. But unlike a lot of other games, you know, as infantry, you do have a chance against it. You know, this isn't like Battlefield where, you know, as infantry, if you see a tank and you don't have, you know, a rocket of some kind, you're pretty much screwed. In this, you know, like I'd mentioned earlier, you can take out its optics and just cause general havoc, and then get your teammates to help you out. And then you've also got the strikes. You can send out an airstrike on it, or a artillery or something like that. And in fact, I should actually talk about strikes a little too. The strikes themselves, the scoring for that, as far as I know, is based on teamwork. So by capturing objectives, helping out your squad and that sort of thing. So and I think it's well balanced. I think it works quite well. You don't feel like it's too much, like how sometimes Call of Duty is an example. You've got the it doesn't feel like there's too much of them all the time. It doesn't feel like there's not enough. It feels just right. They're not too hard to get, but at the same time it all feels very fair and balanced, and everyone's sort of got the same opportunity as anyone else to do anything really in this game, so that's quite good. I also do like how the vehicles now drop from you can drop a vehicle at base and things like that. I really like how that works. It's funny, the plane model that they show looks pretty kind of bad, but I think again that's because this is an alpha. I doubt that will stay looking exactly like that. I'd say they'll make it look a little nicer by the time it releases, and because that's a new thing that hadn't existed before, that little plane animation that I don't know if I think you'll see it in this sometime later on in the video. But either way, it was in the last video as well that I uploaded, and a couple of others, where you see a cargo plane flying over above, and a crate drops out of it, and and there's your tank. I really like that. I like the animation. I like the way that works and everything. But like I said, it'll be likely polished up a bit so it looks a bit nicer. So don't worry too much. And really that applies to everything in this game. Don't worry too much about the sounds and those different things. I'd say a lot of the new things they're adding and the things that they were working on changing are going to improve a lot before release. So oh yes, that was the suicide drone there. Someone was coming at you with, it's pretty effective. Another thing that I remember from the original version that I used a fair bit against tanks, it's just as awkward to use, and that's probably a good thing, because again, it would be a little too OP if it wasn't a bit awkward. So, but anyway, so yeah, in this I quite enjoy being either the driver or gunner, really, because a lot of other games, again, I know I keep mentioning Battlefield a lot, but I sort of can't help it with this, and I spent a lot of my time playing Battlefield, and that's sort of where this channel started. But anyway, so yeah, I feel like in Battlefield I enjoy being the driver, but not so much the gunner. But in this, either one, I'll happily be a driver or gunner. It doesn't faze me whatsoever. I'll happily be a driver or gunner in any of the vehicles. They're all good. Yeah, none of them feel too slow or anything. None of them feel overly OP or too weak. Everything's just right, which is another thing I should probably get to as well: the time to kill and the amount of damage that these vehicles and things do, and even just the normal guns. Everything feels, kind of, what's the word, heavy. Like they have substance. They're hard hitting. So when you shoot a gun, the sound again is obviously going to improve. So that's something that will change. But the recoil and the impact of the bullets feels meaty and like it means something. And the same thing for these vehicles, as you can see. Everything is heavy and yeah. And also those little sounds, like the UI sounds, are quite nice. That little sound it makes when you get a kill and that sort of thing. They haven't changed much of that since the original. Most of those kinds of UI sounds are the same, and I liked them then, and I still like them now. There were a couple of sounds that I didn't like, but I think I've disabled that in the settings anyway, those sounds, so not an issue. And another thing too that's worth noting is one of the things I've always hated about games is those useless one-liner catchphrase things that they say. Always hated that, and that's something, again, I know I keep going back to Battlefield, but this new Battlefield 2042, oh man, those call-outs that the characters make, it's just annoying, really is. Same thing for my Halo Infinite videos, how I actually had disabled the character voices for that reason, that they are just so annoying. They say the stupidest one-liners you've ever heard. Again, this doesn't have that. There are some things that the characters say, but they're actually kind of funny. Like I'll let me think of one for a sec. I can't think of one. It's too hard while I'm trying to watch and make stuff up as we go along. But there's a couple of phrases in this that I really like, and I think they're funny. You know, they're not annoying. They don't happen too often. So yeah, I quite enjoy that. There you go. So here's the that cargo plane animation. So you can see it looks a little bit kind of work in progress, and I'd say that's because it is. It is likely work in progress. So don't worry too much about how that looks for the moment. So here's the Anders. This is one of the main battle tanks. This thing packs a serious punch. You can check out my other videos to do with how these customized, that sort of thing, and the different options. But again, remember alpha, so you know a lot of the customization could change. They'll likely add stuff. But oh, look at that! Oh, meaty. So yeah, there are still going to be some things that will change. And another unrelated note to vehicles that I forgot to mention last video. Some people were asking about some different weapons in the comments of some of my videos. You know, like the AK-15 and that sort of thing. I'd say that a lot of those will likely return in the full version. It's just that the alpha didn't have everything. They'd cut some things out. They were likely reworking things. They also wanted to focus probably a little bit more on balancing. So there were quite a few things missing that I again didn't feel that it was missing as such, so much as just not present at the moment. So yeah, I definitely didn't have a problem with any of that. But yeah, I'd say things like the AK-15 and that the people have been asking about, I'd say it will return. And the other thing too is you don't want to oversaturate the game with weapon variants either. So you don't want like 5 different AK variants and that sort of thing, because most of those you can build from the base AK anyway. And there is the Beryl 762, and that is based on an AK platform anyway. So it's one of those things. I don't feel like it would be a deal breaker if it didn't have some of those weapons. Obviously there's going to be more than what we saw, but whether or not it has everything the original had, it doesn't faze me. I trust the developers to do the right thing with this, and I think they're perfectly capable, and everything they've done so far is fantastic. So anyway, so let's get back to the tanks again. So yeah, as you can see, the animations for the tanks as well is nice and smooth. Everything looks really nice. The models are really good, and everything's got that slight future thing where it looks like it's in a near future, not crazy out there futuristic. It looks like it could be in 10 years from now kind of thing, or less even. I mean, this looks like it could be sort of the next near war kind of thing. So I quite like that about it. It's within the realm of believability and realism, without being same old boring. It's not exactly the same as, like, as an example, let's compare it to Battlefield 4 instead of comparing it to the new Battlefield. So you compare Battlefield 4, which was supposed to be a sort of near future when that came out, and everything felt kind of like it was just slightly upgraded, and slightly newer. And that's what this feels like too. Everything feels slightly near future, where this is a future you could believe could happen in a few years. Not that you would want it to, obviously, but you get what I'm saying, though. That there's this within the realm of believability, and that I think is also part of where the enjoyment comes from for me. I like realism, but obviously you don't want it to be boring and exactly like everything else. So again, although this sort of feels similar in some ways to Battlefield 4, this by no means is even close to a clone of Battlefield 4. It is its own game. Really, that applies to any of the Battlefields. This is not like any of the Battlefields exactly, but it feels like a sort of an alternative kind of Battlefield experience. I quite like that. And one of the things that made Battlefield 4 so much fun for a lot of people was the tank gameplay and how good the vehicles were. And this has the same kind of feeling. And one of my mates I game with, he loves the Battlefield 4 tanks and that sort of thing. And I sometimes wish he had a PC so that he could play this, because I think he would really enjoy how satisfying the vehicles are in this, and how much they do feel a little bit like the Battlefield 4 vehicles in terms of how you control the vehicles and all that sort of thing. But again, the vehicles have their own. The game's still unique in that things like that you can shoot out the optics and things like that. So there are these added things that I've come to miss in other games since. Anytime I go and play any other game similar to this, or any Battlefield game basically, my reaction is, because I was playing the old version for so many years, my instant reaction is to shoot the optics and then realize, oh, I can't do that anymore. So it's something that I definitely miss in other games when it doesn't exist, that I really like about this. Even a few things that I don't remember being in the original version, maybe they are and I just haven't noticed, but the particle effects, so there's the smoke or the fumes that sort of come out of the exhaust of the tanks, wherever that might be on each given tank. and those sorts of things is fantastic. I just think overall, you know, they've done such a good job with making it I feel like an upgrade to the old version, where you know, the old version, as much as I wish it had come out and been released, now that I've played this, it gives me a new sense of hope for the game, because you know this is truly something that has been improved. You know, it's not just you know, they haven't just sort of been continuing work on this and it's picked up where they left off. They've seemed to have actually gone back, looked at all the maps, gone, alright, how can we make the maps better optimized, how can we make the gameplay a little bit more smooth, and they've also done the same thing with the weapons, with the tanks, and every aspect. I mean, and not to mention the user interface, and that is something that is hugely different, particularly the menus, the customization menus. That's why I have so many videos on it, so that you can actually see you know, what it looks like now. You know, and I do have videos from the old version, so you could even go back if you wanted to compare. I don't think I'll actually make a comparison video so much. Maybe I will, but unlikely. You know, I've already got plenty of videos about that on there. Anyway, so I've only got a few minutes left, so I think I'll wrap it up by just saying that I will absolutely 100% be playing this on release, so you can expect to see me in the game, and I hope all of you join me in it. I've got another video to upload after this that'll be about the customization again. So, you know, where I'm actually talking, not just going through the menus. So, yeah, I think I'll leave it here and let you watch the rest of the video. Enjoy.
Enemy radars are being jammed. Enemy tech spotted in your area.